As the impeachment inquiry against the president begins, lawmakers have left for recess, while Congress wants to talk to the president's personal lawyer and the Secretary of State. Plus, jury selection for Markeith Lloyd's trial is underway. How many jurors have already been summoned and why this could be a difficult process? And a Brevard County mother and her son are in desperate need of a new home. How the community is stepping up to help them out. Thank you for staying with us tonight. I'm Sharon Stone. At 5:31, it's time for Weather on the Ones with certified meteorologist David Hecker joining us live again. What do we need to know about the rain in the metro?
Yeah, still got a little bit of rain shower activity. It's kind of now working its way west of the I-4 corridor, Sharon. I still don't think you want to cancel any plans for heading to the UCF game tonight, or maybe heading down to the attractions. You can see the activity on Storm Tracker 13 live Doppler radar. Again, a lot of the activity now west of I-4, also beginning to push its way into central and southern sections of Lake County, south of the Claremont area. Elsewhere in the parts of Brevard, we're watching a little bit of activity near Melbourne Beach, but you can see that's kind of fizzling out a little bit as it nears land. So maybe a few sprinkles if you live along A1A from Melbourne Beach all the way back down to Sebastian Inlet. Elsewhere for tomorrow, surf forecast, poor conditions once again, and unfortunately the rip current threat goes back up to moderate to high for tomorrow. I'll be back. We'll take a close look at rain chances for your Sunday. Also an update on Lorenzo in the tropics. So coming up on your weather on the Ones.
The impeachment inquiry against President Trump is underway as lawmakers left town Friday for a 2-week recess. The president has continued to tweet out his thoughts on the matter. Can you imagine if these do-nothing Democrat savages, people like Nadler, Schiff, AOC +3, and many more had a Republican Party who would have done to Obama what the do-nothings are doing to me? Oh, well, maybe next time, one tweet read. So far, the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, may be called to testify before Congress in connection to the inquiry. Giuliani says he would not testify without consulting the president first, citing his work should be protected by attorney-client privilege. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wants the impeachment proceedings to bring people together.
From Russians,
Unifying for progress as your theme. So as we go forward, we want it to be a way that unifies America, not divides America. And that's why, as I say, we have to go through prayerfully.
3 House committees have issued a subpoena for Secretary of State Mike Pompeo after he failed to bring documents related to the president's phone call with Ukraine's leader in July. Members of the House Intelligence Committee have been told to be prepared to come back early from that break. Overseas in Syria, the top diplomat is demanding American and Turkish forces withdraw from the country. More than 400,000 people have been killed during this 8-year conflict in Syria, and millions more have fled. The foreign minister of Syria stressed there must be no interference from any country or timeline imposed on the process. Right now, there are about 1,000 American troops in Syria on a mission to fight Islamic State militants. The U.S. Coast Guard rescued 5 people from a disabled boat off the west coast in Clearwater. Officials got a report after midnight Friday night that the boat had not arrived at a fishing spot in the Gulf of Mexico. The 5 people were found safe by an aircrew. This boat had mechanical failures and no marine radio. So the Coast Guard says make sure you have a marine band radio on board your boat and have a float plan to know where you're going and when you expect to be back. The Federal Aviation Administration has ordered inspections of a Boeing 737 model after warnings of structural cracks. Boeing told the FAA about this problem after discovering cracks while modifying a heavily used aircraft. Now, the cracking was found where the plane's body connects to the wing structure. Earlier this year, the FAA grounded all Boeing 737 MAX planes after identifying similarities between 2 catastrophic crashes that left more than 300 people dead. A family is preparing to lay their loved one to rest after a deadly ambush witnessed by dozens and shared on Snapchat. Officials announced charges against 7 more suspects involved in the brutal attack and murder of Kasheen Morris in New York. 5 of the teens are being charged as adults. According to police, the fight involved at least 4 dozen teens. They believe it all was planned and stemmed from an ongoing dispute over a girl.
She broke up with him, and then this fight happened as a result of jealousy.
16-year-old Morris was taken to the hospital where he later died. Police allege 18-year-old Tyler Fletch stabbed him multiple times in the chest. He was arrested and pleaded not guilty to manslaughter. The other 7 suspects face charges of gang assault, and police say more people could face charges as this investigation continues. Hundreds of potential jurors are being questioned for the first murder trial of Markeith Lloyd. He is accused of killing his pregnant ex-girlfriend, Sade Dixon, as well as Orlando Police Lieutenant Deborah Clayton. More than 500 jurors were summoned to the courthouse Friday to decide who will be selected for the trial for Lloyd's former girlfriend. A few jurors were dismissed from the case because of extreme hardships. Most, though, will be returning at different times next week. More than half of them said they recognized Markeith Lloyd from news coverage. Tuesday, the judge and attorneys will start questioning potential jurors about whether they can keep an open mind about this case. The Brevard County community showed their support today for a family struggling to stay afloat while caring for their disabled son, Nolan. Spectrum News 13's Crystal Knowles spoke with his mother and volunteers who stepped up to make a difference.
I was told that Nolan wouldn't survive, and if he did, his life and my life would be forever changed.
8-year-old Nolan is permanently disabled after being diagnosed with encephalitis and meningitis. A few months ago, single mother Melissa Gardner lost her home to mold and not being able to work. Ernest Martinez Jr. says he's been following Nolan's story and couldn't sit back and do nothing. He asked Tim Bishop if he could hold a fundraiser, Rolling for Nolan.
It's the riders on the Space Coast who really contribute. Bikers are not mean people, but in the end, we want to make sure that anybody who's not represented can be.
Martinez's daughters are meeting Nolan for the first time and says he's hoping to pass down his legacy of wanting to help.
Show them that Daddy does things for to help other people like this so that they'll have that same attitude and spirit when they grow up.
Gardner says it takes almost 2 hours to get Nolan out the door and needs a home adapted to his needs. Wheelchair ramps, wider doors to fit in a hospital bed, things standard houses don't have.
As a single mother, not able to work, to provide for my son, I will provide for my son as long as I can.
Gardner says losing her permanent home and staying at temporary housing is something she never thought could happen to her and her son, but it did. And now the community is trying to help give her a new home. In Palm Bay, Crystal Knowles, Spectrum News 13.
Cardinal says Nolan has gone through so many surgeries, and sometimes he actually needs a machine to breathe when he is in respiratory distress. 10 years ago, one teen's future was not so certain. Thanks to years of treatment and the gift of donated blood from strangers, Hannah Marsh celebrated her 17th birthday today by giving back. Spectrum News 13's Gabrielle Arzola explains.
Today is a special day for Hannah Marsh.
It's really exciting.
She's excited to donate blood, something she never thought she could do.
My disease is called hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis.
It's a rare immune disorder that attacks her blood, also known as HLH. When she was just 5 years old, doctors told her an average platelet count is around 200, and Hannah only had 2.
They gave my mom they're like, your daughter has a 2% chance of living. We'll just try to fix her, basically.
Ultimately needing a bone marrow transplant, and until they found a match, she needed new blood constantly.
She was getting transfusions around the clock.
For months, she received over 300 units of donated blood and chemotherapy to keep her alive, until she finally found her match, a marrow donor from Germany.
It was one match out of 15 million people.
11 years later, she's healthy, and she now wants to donate to help other people, the same way complete strangers helped her.
I lived off of what I'm giving today, and it's just cool and really amazing to see that I could donate blood today.
Reporting in Sarasota, Gabrielle Arzola, Spectrum News.
A bus driver in Miami-Dade saved a passenger's life. The passenger told the bus driver, LaRonda Marshall, that a person in the back of the bus was unresponsive. Marshall stopped the bus, called for backup, and started CPR. First responders at the scene said Marshall's quick action saved the passenger's life.
We wear many hats. We're counselors, we're doctors, we're teachers. I would like to see the guy again, and I just thank God that he's living and he have another chance at life.
This isn't Marshall's first life-saving act. She saved 2 others in the past, comforting a man who had been hit by a car and finding a little girl walking alone in a street. Now we have an important recall to warn you about. 145,000 DeWalt utility bars are being recalled because they could be harmful. DeWalt says they have received nearly 60 reports of the 40-inch tool breaking while being used to pry something open. That includes at least 4 reports of injuries. The company is offering anyone who purchased one a full refund. We're getting to be 5:41, so we need to do weather on the ones with certified meteorologist David Heckert joining us now live again. So for people heading out tonight, what do you think with the umbrella?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't mess with it unless you live maybe in the parts of Lake Sumter County. If you're heading to the UCF game, maybe heading to Epcot here later on this evening, I really think rain chances end up being pretty low. In fact, let me head up towards Seminole County here. Live view on the Lista.com weather cam over the city of Sanford. You can see the sunshine really coming out quickly now into parts of northern Seminole County. 86 out of the Sanford International Airport. Still kind of breezy out there. East-northeasterly wind at 16. You can still see some light rain showers on Storm Tracker 13 live Doppler radar. Heaviest actions running along State Highway 33 here south of the Mascot area, kind of in extreme southern Lake County. More activity in the west side of Metro Orlando, including Windermere, Dr. Phillips, couple sprinkles at the bottom of your screen near Celebration. But you can see overall this activity is beginning to exit at least even the western suburbs of Metro Orlando. Elsewhere in Brevard County, also watching some new development here. You can see a little bit of sprinkle activity developing very close to the Rockledge area. And then down here in South Brevard County, these cells have really kind of fizzled out as they're getting closer and closer to the area. So going to keep the rain chance on the board here for at least the next couple of hours. But as we get towards 8, 9, 10 o'clock, I think a lot of this activity quickly fades away across the area. Let me show you Futurecast here as we head towards the evening. 8 o'clock, again, notice a lot of us staying dry by then. 8 o'clock temperatures upper 70s and low 80s, so overall pretty nice evening. Here we are by midnight, no major issues across the area. Morning time period should be pretty nice. Don't think we're going to see the rain like Futurecast is showing at daybreak, with numbers starting off in the upper 60s, low to mid 70s. And tomorrow, again, kind of this east-northeasterly wind continuing that's going to transport more moisture into the area. So as we head towards lunchtime, notice a little bit of activity developing across the area. Just like today, though, rain chance only about 20 to 25%. Also notice the winds really beginning to crank up, especially up against the coastline. I'll be back. Head off to the tropics. Very latest on Lorenzo. Big uptick with the system. Very latest on that coming up in less than 10. Right now, Storm Tracker 13, live Doppler radar.